welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos today. So I thought I would mix things up a little bit and do a cheeky Q&A. So I asked you over on Instagram and over on my Facebook group, which is my Law of Attraction support group. If you don't know, the link's down below if you want to join. Ask me your questions. What do you want to know? So I will just run through Instagram first and answer as many as I can. But thank you guys so much for all your lovely questions. You never fail to give me a ton to answer, and these videos always end up so long because of just the sheer amount of like amazing questions. Okay, so the first one comes from her holistic coaching. That was like a not holistic coaching. How to deal with outgrowing very close friendships. Good question. Naturally we're all growing and evolving, and you know, sometimes this is a way of life. We outgrow things and things become stuck or feel stagnant, and you just, you know, you're not feeling as uplifted and inspired around people, I guess, or you just feel that naturally something's coming to a closure, and you know, that doesn't have to be bad, like it doesn't have to be negative. And I think it's just really navigating that in your truth in the best way possible, and you know, addressing it with that person. I mean, naturally you may just kind of lose contact and kind of drift apart. That's normally like, you know, the best way for it to happen, I guess, because then, you know, it's kind of mutual and it's kind of peaceful and it just is what it is. But obviously sometimes if the other person isn't kind of getting that and you kind of want to, you know, distance yourself, I think you do just have to distance yourself, not to be cruel or harsh, but if you feel intuitively that, you know, you do need to take a step back and that actually that relationship or friendship, should I say, is not serving your highest good anymore, like you've got to be true to yourself. And I think you just have to navigate it in the best way possible, and it can be so tricky because you're kind of battling like, what's the right thing to do here? Like, I don't want to be a dick, I don't want to be horrible, I don't want to upset anybody, and it is a really hard one to navigate. But you know, if they're a decent person, if they're like, you know, a nice decent person, like they'll get it and they'll probably vibe it as well. They'll probably kind of feel, you know, that you've grown apart or whatever. So I'd always just say, like, always act with grace and always act with peace, and always just, you know, just always follow your intuition and try to do the best that you can in any situation. That's all we can all ever do. But you just have to kind of decide for yourself whether that person's going to stay in your life, but you just distance yourself and kind of, you know, catch up with them every now and again, or whether that it's done. So the next question comes from Vic27. How to use the law of attraction to find a way to end a relationship which you've tried to end but the other one won't leave. I don't think you need to use law of attraction at all for that, if I'm honest. I think it's a decision. Like, if one person doesn't want to be part of something, then the other one can't be part of a relationship if one person's not in it. So I would really say, you know, are you being strong enough to really, like, you know, lay the lines, lay the boundaries and say, I don't want this, this is it. Like, you know, it comes down to you at the end of the day. It's nothing to do with the law of attraction. It's to do with actually, are you strong enough to make that decision and stick to that decision? Are you strong enough to keep walking and follow through with your decision? So you can obviously call upon your angels or the universe or whatever resonates with you to obviously give you the courage and strength to do this if it's what you truly want. But I would say, is it what you truly want if you're not walking? Like, if you're, you know, if you're still in that situation where you think it's him who's not getting the kind of memo, then it's like, well, you're obviously giving that person that opportunity to still be in your life. You're still giving that person opportunity to still be in a relationship with you. So if you're really like doneath and it's like, you know, you don't want that anymore, you have to take that responsibility to make it clear, to walk away and be consistent with that. So of course, ask for the courage and guidance to do that. But again, you can't use the law of attraction for that. That's got to be your own free will choice. That's got to be your decision that you stick to and mean. Like, you have to mean it. So I would say to you, like, do you truly mean it if you aren't walking your talk, essentially? The next question off Instagram as well is from Maria Buer, I think it is. Is it possible to spiritually awaken at 14, 15 years old? Absolutely. You can spiritually awaken at 2 months old if you want to. Each soul will have its own timeline, I guess, of when, you know, opportunities of when it can spiritually awaken. So you know, it is happening younger and younger and younger. Like traditionally, you know, in kind of my parents' generation, a lot of people would probably spiritually awaken probably in their 30s. It was kind of when you had your Saturn return, when you kind of had your adulthood moment, that you would kind of open yourself up and have your kind of spiritual epiphany, or maybe even later in life. But kind of from my generation, sort of like downwards, it's getting younger and younger and younger, because I think this information is becoming more accessible. And I think that this is like, you know, the collective purpose here of people are awakening younger, so that, you know, the consciousness of the like earth is rising, and yeah, more and more people are awakening younger. So, you know, I've worked with clients who are 16 who are on a very spiritual path and doing really well. I've even spoken to people who are 14, 15 years old who are spiritually awakened. And I think, you know, it's good that people who are younger nowadays are finding these things and being intrigued by these things, because God, if I learned this like 10 years ago, like God knows where I'd be now. So yeah, no, it's really good if you are. And you know, there's a lot of great free content out there for you to kind of explore and follow. Okay, so now on to Facebook questions. Romy Dobson has asked, how do you get out of victim mode? Good question. Well, you have to choose to get out of victim mode. It's really about perspective. And I recently spoke about this in How to Find Strength in Adversity video. And I've done a blog post and a podcast on it as well, if you prefer that to a video. But yeah, I really talk about it in the terms of perspective of, it's really like when you're knocked down, when you're in your pity party, when your ego is like having a celebration, because you're in victim mode. It's really about like looking at your life, giving, you know, putting perspective on your situation and perspective collectively of the scale of your problems, and I guess in the terms of the world, and saying, you know, is my life ending here? Am I dying? Probably not. So I have my health. Like, it's looking like around you and saying like, okay, this may be shit and I may be in victim mode, but what things can I be grateful for? Like, have a gratitude practice absolutely right now, and really focus on like the blessings that you have. And definitely it's so easy to feel shameful as well of these kind of feelings and emotions. When we're in victim mode, we almost then beat ourselves down further for being in victim mode. So it's really about honoring how you feel, and witnessing like you have that you are in victim mode, but then obviously making that conscious choice to get back up, dust yourself off, and keep going, keep working, keep trying. And like, obviously, like check out that video or the podcast or blog, because I feel it will be very relevant to you and probably give you even more helpful information on kind of how to get out of victim mode. But it really is a choice. It is a choice of like, you live or die, you sink or swim. You have to get up, you have to make that choice. And you have to like snap out of it almost, and like be firm with yourself, like give your ego and your, you know, your victim mode love, as, you know, you don't bash it, but equally, you know, be firm in the sense of, I'm not gonna let this rule me, I'm not gonna be put in this box, I'm not gonna be a victim, you know, take charge, take control of the situation. So the next question is by Parul Sanmir. Again, apologies for the pronunciation of everybody's name in this video. How do we know that limiting beliefs are removed from our body after the releasing work is done? Good question. The key with working with limiting beliefs isn't that they remove themselves. It is really that you do the inner work and healing, so that when they come up, you witness it, you deal with it, and it goes. So even for me, you know, like after I've worked on limiting beliefs, I will have that limiting belief come back up, my ego will push it back up, but it's almost like your comeback rate is improved. So when you're healing, when you're working on limiting beliefs, it's not that you will never have that thought again, because that's insane. You will, like, your ego will just have these thoughts. It's, you know, how our human mind works, but it's actually your comeback rate. So I would judge your limiting beliefs on your comeback rate of when that thought pops into your head, what do? If you know, send it away with love, reassure yourself. If it doesn't linger, then I would say you've healed it, that's good. But you will have these thoughts. That is human nature. You will never fully remove them. They may become less prominent, they may become less frequent, but you know, every now and again I will have a thought come into my head and I'll be like, oh, don't be so silly, like, you know, we've healed that, that's fine, send it love. and off it goes. It doesn't affect me. So I think it's judging your comeback rate and judging if it does trigger and affect you still. Like if you're still being triggered by it, then I think more work needs to be done. Or, you know, go to your toolkit and, you know, you do need to do it, you know, quite a few times with limiting beliefs sometimes, especially if they're quite deep rooted. Alice Louise Parker has asked, what are your top manifesting techniques that have worked for you? Good question. I'm a bit of a weird one. Like, I'm quite a creature of habit. I personally love to use the wouldn't it be nice method, which I did a video on recently if you want to go check that out. I love it because it's such a non-pressure way to manifest and it just works so well for me. So I've really been loving that one recently, especially when I've, you know, felt quite controlling or haven't wanted to put control on something and just want to kind of easily manifest. I really love using that. I really love using the manifestation box technique as well, which I've also done a video on, just because once again, it's just like a little kind of spiritual hub, powerful, energetic hub where I put all my manifestations, where I put my vision boards, where I put everything, pop some crystals in there, and it just really is that kind of sacred space where, you know, my desires are kind of protected and being incubated, and I do find that works really, really well for me. Okay, Marie Elizabeth Mead has asked, or Maria should I say, sorry, how do you fit daily practices into a busy lifestyle? You've got to make the time. Like I say this to my clients, if you haven't got 10 minutes a day in the morning to sit and do a gratitude practice, or to sit and meditate, or to sit and do affirmations, whatever it may be, have you even got a life? Like, wake up 10 minutes earlier. And this is discipline here, which comes on to my next question, is you have to be disciplined. You have to be committed to this. If you're not consistent with yourself, how can the universe be consistent with you? So it's almost like, how can you, you know, how can you show up for yourself if you're showing up in the same way that you've always shown up before? You know, that's not showing up for yourself in a new way. That's not, you know, embracing this. And I really feel like, why would you not want to do gratitude at least? You know, your daily practice shouldn't be something which feels like a chore. It shouldn't be something which is long-winded or takes up hours of your morning. Absolutely not. Like I always say to people, make it manageable, because it will be enjoyable rather than feeling like a chore. So in your gratitude practice, if you're writing 10 points, bring it down to 3 to 5 points. You know, you don't have to write 10 points to feel gratitude. You could write 1 point and feel gratitude. It's always about the feeling. As long as you have the feeling of gratitude, that's all that matters. So do 3 to 5 points instead, make it manageable. But if you can't even take 10 minutes out of your day in the morning to do that, or, you know, even do another gratitude practice in the evening just before you go to bed, like just thinking over all the great things that have happened throughout the day, do you even have a life? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like simple to me of like, just wake up 10 minutes earlier, you know, dedicate yourself to these practices, because you will see so many benefits from that. You can't expect to do nothing and get something out of it. Like, you have to dedicate the time to see improvements, to see shifts in your behavior or your attitude or your energy. Like, you have to make that commitment and that consistency to yourself so that the universe in return can be consistent with you in your manifestation. So it really is a case of, do you want the things that you're trying to manifest? I'm guessing the answer is yes. So show up for yourself, you know, and most importantly, show up for yourself, show up for your practices, and show up for your kind of, you know, happiness and positivity each day. Because if you don't do the work, you're not going to see the results. Just like in work, like just in like any other thing in our every area in our life, you know, you've kind of got to put that hard work in to see the results. Okay, Lady Olorat, I hope I've said that right. Olorat. Oh, I'm terrible. I'm terrible. Like, thank God I never have to have a job where I read out people's names, because that would be interesting. How to be disciplined and committed as you are. I think because I'm a Virgo, like, discipline is in my DNA and loyalty is in my DNA. So literally I was born with a lot of this. It is in my star sign. But I think to be disciplined and committed in terms of work is my passion. I love doing what I do. I believe in what I do. And when you follow your passion, you live your joy every day, and you live your joy and happiness and passion, like, I want to do well. I want to share my message with the world. I want to do these things. And, you know, when you want to do these things, it's almost like you don't have to try. You don't have to be committed or disciplined. You just naturally do it because you enjoy it. But it definitely is a habit. In many times of my readings with Rachel, my loved ones up in heaven have taken the mick or taken the piss out of how disciplined and regimental I am with my life, but I have to be bloody organized. Like, it's not a case of I have OCD or I'm anal about these things. Like, I have to have a schedule and a routine, otherwise nothing would ever get done. So for me, like, you know, schedules are really important. I schedule my day hour by hour. Having like Google Calendar is a freaking lifesaver because I know exactly where I've got to be, what I'm doing. You know, obviously all my calendars sync up to my life coaching, to my podcast, to, you know, everything. So it is a godsend to have that. So all my time is scheduled and I'm not overcommitting and I'm not like taking on too much work or anything. I have a strategy plan in my business, so each month I will only focus on certain things and kind of schedule things in each month to kind of work on, focus on, so I know that whether I have gaps in my kind of strategy plan as such to take on new projects or take on new work. And you know, I constantly am growing and evolving as well. Like, you know, I never stay stuck, I never stay in one place with business. So that's what I would say business is like, you know, being switched on, always like looking to the next thing and being ahead of yourself. You know, everything's done in advance, nothing's done last minute with me. Videos are filmed weeks in advance, podcasts are like recorded weeks in advance, everything, so that everything kind of runs smoothly for me and is like scheduled, and I know what I'm doing and other people know what I'm doing as well. In terms of personal life, it's definitely been a new one for me. And again, this video I did recently of how to find strength in adversity, in times of adversity, talks a lot about this kind of discipline and getting back up, brushing yourself off and keep going. And I think it's just that desire and that belief of what I believe in so much, that there's no other way, like it's gotta happen, no matter what people say or what like people say I can or can't do. I think it's just that hunger, it's that passion, it's connecting to my intuition, it's connecting to the universe and knowing what I'm here to do, that it needs to get done, and I enjoy doing it. That's the most important thing. So I think when you enjoy things and you have fun, you naturally have discipline. But get yourself organized. Like, that's my #1 top tip. Get organized, schedule your life, it will help so much. Okay, so the next question comes from Elizabetta DeSantis. How do you practically work on yourself to erase money blocks? Good question. I definitely would say my #1 recommendation would be to rewrite your story, to rewrite your money story. So this is like a scripting exercise, if you've ever done scripting before, where you positively rewrite your story. So it's kind of like a letter to yourself of being like, I am really good with money, I have more money than, so it's kind of like affirmational style, but it's like also you're writing a letter to yourself of like stating and rewriting your story of money, if that makes sense. So I've got some videos on scripting and things like that if you want some advice on that, but again, it's just really positively rewriting your story and living by that. So positive affirmations, rewriting your story absolutely is like really important stuff. What I would say as well for money, EFT is amazing for this. So Brad Yates, if you don't know, because I recommend him enough, he's got loads of videos on money blocks, not feeling worthy of money, so absolutely check those videos out. Those are my kind of go-tos. And I think as well, it's like doing work on your kind of the meaning behind money to you. Like, do you see it as energy? Do you see it the same as manifesting free coffees? Do you feel as worthy of money as you do with manifesting free coffees? It's really working around those beliefs and going back to where these kind of blocks and negative beliefs first started. So if it's in your childhood, if it's to do with your parents, if it's to do with things like that, then obviously some inner child work could be really beneficial as well. Some meditations to kind of go back and rewrite that story and kind of heal that. So that's what I would say, some like practical ways to work with money blocks. But a lot of it is mindset, a lot of it is the kind of belief side of things, so try those things out. and I'm sure you will start to see big improvements. So the next question is from Shan. She says, I'd love to know more about how you meditate. How long do you usually do it for and how often? I don't actually talk about my meditation practices that much, just because they're such a, I don't know, such a personal thing for me. Like, I just kind of like to do it and not really talk about it. I've spoken about my meditations before, and obviously I've got my own meditation playlist over on my website if you want to check that out, of like things I recommend and things I do and things I've recorded for you guys. But sometimes I will, to be honest, I do a lot of healing meditations more than I do just free meditation of like go in and just see what's there. I normally like to do like past life regressions. I like to do like forgiveness meditations, cutting cord meditations. How often do I do them? I at least do them once a week. I'm not the biggest meditator in the world, but when I do, like, trippy stuff has happened, as you guys all know from some of my previous videos and my book. So I do actually get a lot of like trippy experiences and like crazy messages that come through, and predictions. And yeah, a lot of it's about my own life though, rather than like anybody else's. And yeah, I just get like really beautiful messages, and like I've had a lot of amazing healing work through it. So yeah, that's what I love to do. Okay, so the last question is from Nina Estepa. About manifesting exactly what you want. So they say to be specific, and then she's put, well, what if you're specifically trying to manifest a certain amount of money by a certain time for bills and obligations? You hear to be specific, but let go of the intention and don't give it a time frame. But isn't manifestation by your design when you desire it what you desire? I guess the time crunch puts you in a state of lack, but if it's what you desire, how would you go about that? And it's a really good question, because it does come down, it is a very contradiction. I had this conversation with a life coaching client literally yesterday about the contradictions of, well, they say to be specific but don't put attachment to it, and attachment is the key word here. So for instance, if you're trying to manifest money by a certain amount of time for bills and like things that you have to pay, and you're in a desperate situation, my absolute go-to tip, and you're like, you put that date, you put that money, is you have to improve your mindset. If you are sat there making that manifestation with that time frame and you're worrying about it, you're stressing about it, and you're fearful, you are not going to attract that money. So when people say, you know, let go, don't be specific, go with the flow, what they mean is stop worrying about it, stressing about it, and attaching fear and lack to it, sort of thing. So what you need to do is, what I always say in any money situation, is be practical. Like, be logical and practical here, because there's nothing wrong with it and it will really help you. So what's the worst case scenario? If that money doesn't come to you by that time, what is the worst thing that can happen? And you can journal this down, or just have that kind of internal dialogue with yourself. Ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? And then once you've asked yourself that and you've established your worst case scenario, what's your plan B? So what is your backup plan here if that money doesn't come? Now, the reason why I feel this is so freaking vital, and I do it with so many things in my own life, is because when we establish our worst case scenario, we establish our plan B, we instantly remove fear. Fear cannot reside, because we have already established that if it doesn't come, it's okay, and we have a backup plan. So it's removing that attachment and being okay with both outcomes. That is the key here, of being okay with both outcomes, and having a backup plan, because then you're not attaching fear, you're not attaching resistance, you're not attaching desperation. You are saying, it would be great to have this money and that amount of money by that certain date to pay these bills. That would be fantastic. But if it doesn't appear, I have a backup. I have a practical, logical backup plan. And I always say this with money, because this is how you break through money blocks. This is how you break through limiting beliefs with money. It's actually dealing with it really practically. It doesn't need to always be like a really spiritual thing where you just put your positive vibes out there and hope for the best, because let's be real, money is a very logical, practical thing, and we attach so much like humanness to money anyway, that we sometimes have to actually deal with our fears in a really human way with money, so that we can have that peace of mind and have that reassurance that we have a backup plan and we're not going to be in like shit creek, or you know, that we can physically have a backup plan. But it's also saying, but I do believe that I can manifest this money. I do believe in the law of attraction. I believe that I'm worthy of this. And this is how you break through money blocks, is looking at it from a really spiritually grounded place and, you know, being practical with it, because then it eliminates your ego. Your ego will be talked down and you're then not attaching resistance to it. And I would also say, you know, forget about it. Like, once you've asked once, get on with it. And this is the one thing people do as well, especially when it's attached to bills, obligations, or a time frame, is, you know, and there's nothing wrong with asking for stuff with a time frame. Definitely not. You can do it and it does work, but it's all down to your vibration. It's all down to how you then vibrationally act. So, you know, you then have to kind of work through the stages of law of attraction, where it's like asking, believing, trusting, letting go. And in your acting as if stage, you know, how would you feel if you did have that money? Well, you would feel relaxed, you'd feel calm, you'd feel grateful, you'd be like, oh, thank God it's here. So be that now, match that vibration, because this is how we manifest, by actually becoming a vibrational match to our desire. So practically think about it, practically cover your worst case scenario and your plan B and become okay with both outcomes. And then practice, you know, physically and spiritually, like vibrationally match the version of yourself who has that desire, who has that money, and who has paid those bills on time, and you feel relaxed and calm. And that may be a process, that may be kind of a process that you have to work up to, but keep releasing it, keep letting go, and being practical as well. Because when you let go, when you're in that calm, peaceful state where it doesn't matter anymore because you're okay with both outcomes, that's when it comes, that's when it happens. So that's my number one tip if you are trying to manifest money desperately by a time frame, is to really watch those emotions that you're attaching to that and how you're acting after you've made that intention. Because so many people won't do it because they then attach fear, desperation, lack, and all of those emotions energetically to that manifestation, which is never going to work. So think about it logically and practically. There's nothing wrong with that. Still have that belief and become okay with both outcomes. So thank you so much, guys, for your questions. This video is half an hour, well, more than half an hour long already. I appreciate them all so much, and I hope that there has even been some good nuggets of knowledge there for you that you can take away. I love doing these because I always love answering, you know, what you guys want to know about and any kind of burning questions you have. So if you did miss out, then don't worry, I do these regularly, and I have got some more further back if you obviously want to go and check out the other ones. So thank you so much, guys, for all your questions and for watching this video today. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the comments box down below, because I reply to them all. And don't forget, you can join my free Law of Attraction support group where I talk all things Law of Attraction and spirituality, and the link will be down below. So I hope you have a great week, whatever you're up to, guys, and I'll see you in my next video, which will be next week. Lots of love, guys.